It's a true delight to interview June-Elleni Laine today. June, you are an international influencer. You're a spirit-inspired artist. And also you're the author of a couple books, one called The Art of Being Psychic and the other, Mandala, The Art of Creating Future. I find all of these subjects super fascinating. I want to delve into first connection, because you mentioned that as being important to you too.
I like to think of connection is the word that's the most important for me. You know, psychic has become a dirty word. People don't understand what it is. They think it's a crystal ball at the end of the pier with, it isn't that. It's about connection. It's about connection to what? It's about connection to wisdom. Generally, in the Western world, we say that the boy takes a test, he's a genius. But the ancient Greeks and Romans used to say, you have a genius with you, which infers the idea that there's a way to connect to that genius. And that's what I try to teach people to do. I think it helps the quality of life of people, it helps to change perspective, and certainly gives us the connection as humans that we crave for.
And I am in the business of helping change perspectives when people are suffering. And that was something that came from my own personal experience with suffering from addiction, in my case, alcoholism. Now, I don't want to dwell on addiction, but I do wonder, are we all addicted to escape?
I think we all have a human tendency to be addicted to something. Some people to escape, some people to connection. I think it varies. Some people to games, some people to walking in nature. If we do something often enough, in Ayurveda they say if you do something every day for 30 days, it becomes a habit. But that can be a good thing. So I think we can use this idea of our human trait to want to be addicted to something in a good way, in a connective way, rather than in a destructive way.
Yeah, I really like your positive spin on that, and I appreciate that. In alignment with the intention that we set for this interview, I want to delve into sentience. What does sentience mean to you?
Well, sentience to me, obviously, the dictionary meaning is the ability to sense and feel. But I think more than that, I think our particular brand of sentience as human beings is to be able to feel and sense, but also to pay attention. So notice, God plays with words, pay attention, which must mean that attention is valuable if you can play with it. We all want to have attention. And when we give attention, we feel that we've given something away. So it's a currency. Attention is a currency. So sentience, as far as I can see, in its supposedly highest form on this planet, in the human form, is the ability to sense and feel and to pay attention to that.
It's something I know that I crave as a human, is just somebody giving me their undivided attention. And I get really frustrated when I don't get that from, say, my partner or my mom or a friend when I feel that I want it.
And it comes with eye contact. They say the eyes are the window to the soul. And you know if someone's paying attention to you because they're looking at you. If they're not looking at you, it feels half-hearted, doesn't it? It feels like, no, you're not giving me the full value. I want it. I want the value. I want to be able to feel your attention. And that you've probably interviewed scientists who have done experiments, the art of being stared at. We know even if we're not looking at someone, if someone's paying attention to us, we can feel it. It's a human thing. We just know. And animals know too. Of course they do. Sentient beings.
Yeah, they absolutely do. My dog definitely knows. You've hit on language and semantics. You've also hit on the art of. So these are concepts that are perhaps a little bit vague and abstract in nature that I'd like to bring down to earth a little bit. So I guess going into the art of perception itself, how can you help us, ground that concept a little bit?
Okay, there's a great diagram that I showed you about truth. What is truth? So this cylinder is in the center and it's labeled truth. And if the light shines on it from this direction, you get a rectangular shadow. But if the light shines on it from this direction, you get a round shadow. Both are true, but which is truth? So it depends on your perspective. So as you change your perspective, the world changes. How do you change perspective? you need to change your identity. Who am I? What am I? If we were to think about the maxims, the idioms, the proverbs hidden within our language, we start to see that there's lots of wisdom that's been sent forward from our ancestors. Very important. Even on the Temple of Apollo in Delphi, when I went to visit, there are maxims above the entrance. And the first one, the most important one for well-being and living in this world as a whole person with a healthy perspective, know thyself. Know thyself. We hear it all the time. What does it mean? Well, what am I? Who am I? Human beings have been asking that question for thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions even of years. Who am I? What am I? It's an important maxim. The second one, nothing to excess. So we get to the addiction part of that. Nothing to excess. It's not healthy. Too much of something, even if it's a good thing, is not healthy. So you have to moderate. And the third one, a pledge or a promise is a sign of madness. So, okay, what does that mean exactly? You know, to promise, to make a promise when you're in this state of mind is probably not a good idea, because this state of mind is temporary. And it keeps you stuck in a box. It keeps you thinking, that's the way I have to be because I made that promise. So we have to be a little bit careful about the pledges that we make.
Can you give me an example of common pledges or promises or institutions in our society today?
Oh, there are so many. Let me give a mortgage, for example. We take on a mortgage because we want a house. What does mortgage mean? Mortgage, death gauge. It's a sign. It's a sign. Okay, we need to have a mortgage. But to have that background idea that, well, this is just a perspective. You know, I've taken it on board because I know that I'm going to be able to deal with this, and to take it in a way that's with wisdom, as opposed to just blind, that's what everybody does, so therefore that's what I'm going to do. Maybe a mortgage is not the best way. Maybe I could actually just live and rent somewhere. Maybe I could find a way of creating something myself that will come into me. We start to create from the inside, we start to attract from the outside, which is what I go into in my book, Mandala, The Art of Creating the Future.
Yes, you do. A lot of us want to learn more about manifestation and how to harness the law of attraction, but it can be misunderstood. What do you think are some of the common pitfalls?
Okay, so as far as I can see, the thing that's missing in most people's manifestation ideas is this idea of paying attention and repetition. Hala mantra, over and over and over and over and over again until it comes into fruition. It's not a new idea. It's ancient. It's an old Asian, Indian, Chinese medicine idea. You know, the idea of mantra, repetition, 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 until you become so addicted to the mantra, if you like, that it comes true. So paying attention, our attention is the most valuable resource we've got. The intention, the word, and the repetition.
Goes back to attention again.
It is. The repetition is what gets our attention. Otherwise, the whole world is fighting for our attention. Adverts, memes, this person telling us this, things in our family, in our ancestry, patterns that run in our family. Oh, it runs in the family that we get cancer. It's one of those things. Okay, it may well run in the family, but you know what? It can stop here. Addiction, it can run in a family, but it can stop here. As soon as we change our perspective, as soon as we become aware that it isn't necessary for us to be influenced by everything that's coming at us, when we're awake, when we understand who we are, who are we? I am creating a human experience. Doesn't mean I'm stuck in that human experience. Maybe if I step back and understand, yes, I am the one creating this human experience, my perspective changes. Therefore, my emotions change. Therefore, my ability creating changes.
Is it any coincidence that attention and intention are quite similar?
Maybe. God plays with words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because there's one letter difference, isn't there?
Yeah.
Intention, attention. The intention comes from in. The attention is what we do outwardly. So inward and outward, Yin-Yang. Yes. It's a match.
And again, going back to the art, you have done so much for me personally as one of my mentors and teachers to teach me the art of setting intention. And there's so much in the wording of it. Can you sort of talk me through the correct wording of setting an intention? Does it have to be in a positive and these kinds of things?
Well, I think it's, there's a lot of people talking about positive things at the moment and how negativity is really, and I want to say I don't actually believe that positive and negative are separate. We're in a duality. The thing that we need to clear is toxic, not negative. Sometimes negative works for us. The word no can be thought of as negative. Sometimes saying no is the most positive thing that you can say. But toxicity, which comes from ancestry, which comes from environment, which comes from an idea of something that isn't self-loving, isn't loving others, isn't from gratitude, that can be toxic. So therefore, we need to really fully embrace the idea that, yes, I am creating this, and I'm creating it from a place of my intention, and my intention needs to be using words that are active as opposed to words that are inactive. For example, I don't want to lose weight because that's a sense of loss. And the subconscious goes, I don't want to lose anything. So the conscious goes, I want to lose weight. And the weight starts to go, and the conscious says, okay, when you're not looking, I'm getting back what I've lost. Yo-yo weight, okay? So rather than that, I want to become lighter. I want to become slimmer. I want to become a size, whatever it is. So the intention is giving off active ingredients as opposed to the ingredients of loss. No one likes to lose.
Do you think moving in the direction of your joy and your desires is part of it?
Moving in the direction of your joy and desires would be wonderful. Sometimes it's not possible. It'd be wonderful if we could always do it. Sometimes we have to move in the direction of our fears in order to face into them. Face into the fear to understand that, maybe it's not real. Some fears are real. They keep us safe. They keep us in the world safe. The fear of crossing the road without looking both ways is very real. Truck can come along, end of this story, which maybe we're not ready for. We want to continue this story. We want to create this human experience as the I am that creates a human experience. So therefore, we need to look in. If I'm feeling uncomfortable, I don't want to disassociate from that. I don't want to say, no, everything's good, everything's joy. I just want to follow my joy. Because if that's got my attention, pain and pleasure, again, part of the duality. Fear and love, again, part of the duality. Everything needs our attention. And if we give our attention to fear, just to understand it, not to dwell there, that's a very positive thing. Does that make sense?
It really does. That hits home so much. And I feel like my level of consciousness is in direct proportion to my ability to face my fears.
Yeah.
That's been true for me.
And to face your joy. And some people are frightened. Yeah, some people are frightened of their own power, and they think, gosh, if I feel joy, something bad's going to happen straight afterwards. And some people are in that pattern that's been handed down from ancestors. Ancestors tell us, you have to work hard for your living. How many people have that old pattern playing? So we have to work hard for our living. Well, maybe we don't. Maybe if we work smart, it doesn't necessarily have to be hard. And let's not just push the fear and the negativity to one side. Let's embrace, let's be inclusive. Let's say, hey, what is it that I'm frightened of? Because when I look at it, what's the worst that can happen to me? And when I lose my fear of whatever it is, the worst that can happen to me, and I face into that and go, well, actually, that's okay. I can handle that. And if that's the worst that can happen, okay, it's not really what I want, but I can handle it. I'm going to be still here afterwards. It's not going to kill me. And anyway, even if it does kill me, what's next? So again, you change your perspective of the self, you change your emotion. So the fear becomes different. The fear becomes serving you. The fear keeps you in a sense of safety rather than a sense of being cut off from potential.
You spoke of the amplification properties of the phrase I am. Could you go into that a little bit more? I am as a broadcasting signal.
Yeah, I am is taking ownership and taking responsibility. And that's something that as humans, we like not to do. You know, responsibility, it's like a dirty word. But I am gives us the sense that, yeah, I can create. I am that. I am creating a human experience. I am the director. I'm the producer. I am all of that. I'm a human. Ooh, I'm playing a human in this experience. But there's something behind me that's before human, before knowledge. I know knowledge, therefore I'm before knowledge. Picked that up from some clever, enlightened master. I think it was Muji. Love him.
Love him too. Beautiful. Are groups also amplifying? Because you run...
Well, you know, in the ancient text, there is a phrase that I love, which says, when two or more come together with the same intent, miracles can happen. Which is what I talk about in my mandalas, because when you do a piece of artwork and you fill it with your attention through your intention and pay attention to it afterwards, it broadcasts the energy of what your intention was to remind you, this is what I want, this is what I want. So it becomes another. And the position that you put it in the room also has the energy of feng shui, the energy of placement. There's a placement energy. So there's another one. There's 3 of you now. And the energy of time and space. There's another energy. You know, all of these are your friends that come together with the same intention to make miracles happen. So yeah, the power, and you know yourself, you know, if we're talking about groups of people, we know the herd mentality. You're at a football match. You can feel it. You're at a concert. You can feel it. You know, when people come together and they're all cheering, you can feel it. And you may even do things that you wouldn't normally have done, you as an individual on your own. But somehow you're hidden in the herd. And that can work in a positive way and also in a negative way. You know, something really, really important was shared with me by someone who does a lot of work with counselling people and victims and people who have been in terrible situations where they've been beaten. And one of the main things, and it just struck me as a really important piece of information to give to people, if ever you're being attacked and you're being beaten and there's a crowd that gathers around, which they do, everyone in that crowd thinks that they're invisible. They're part of a herd and they won't come to your assistance. It's a very strange thing. But if you pick one out and say, you in the red with the glasses, yes, you with the dark hair, help me, they will come forward and help you, and then everyone else will too. Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yeah, it really is. I find the art of being human fascinating, but you can get lost in some of it that's really frightening. And I remember, you know, being in active addiction and feeling really isolated. I was in separation. And if someone had come to me and said, oh, your emotions have all these creational properties, I would have been like, yeah, whatever. I just wanted out of my suffering. I didn't really have an interest in emotion at all. What do you think is a message that might get through to someone who's there right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main thing is that people want to be heard. You know, they want your attention. If you can be with somebody and say to them, I hear you. I hear that you're feeling shit. I hear that you can't see a way out. And I really empathize. And I've been there. A lot of people have been there. And the only way out of there is to know that you're connected. And even if you don't feel it, just know that you're connected. And even if you say to yourself every day, I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm connected, 3 phrases, that's all. Even if at first you don't believe it, just keep repeating it over and over and over. And somewhere in your psyche, you will start to believe it. Because it's true. I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm connected. My future self comes back. I go back to my child self. I'm connected through my timeline. And that person, my future self, is invested in me. It's other work that I do. I call it traversing your timeline. And it makes people understand they're safe, they're loved, they're connected. So when people are in addiction, I will try to take them back to their child and bring their future self to them, just so that they can feel safe, loved, and connected. It's a trilogy of wellness. Would that have made sense to you back in the day?
I think so. I understand on a different level now. And I work with similar principles individually, but it's worked for me. And this idea of time travel, you put it in a way for me a few years ago when you taught that concept to me that I could understand. Could you go into traversing your timeline a little bit more? What is the
Absolutely.
timeline?
It starts from a principle that has been widely published, especially in America, that it's possible to actually bring your consciousness outside of the body. They used it to spy. They used it, I'm not going to go into that too much. If you want to find more out about remote viewing, remote influencing, it's all there. It's been done, said, bought the t-shirt. So using the principle of remote influencing, whereby the consciousness moves out of our body when we're asleep, because it goes into the dream world. And sometimes we're lucky, we can remember our dreams. So we know in deep sleep, the consciousness is somewhere else. I've slept through earthquakes, and I'm sure that other people have too. When you go into that deep sleep, your consciousness isn't present, it's somewhere else. So we know that the consciousness moves out. So we can actually use a technique whereby we can make the consciousness become aware of another time and place. So that's basically what I do. I have people remember something, because we need, in order to make energy move, we need to have an intention. And we need to have an intention of something we understand. Because if we make an intention of something we don't understand, it isn't a powerful intention. As you know, it really isn't. It's a weak intention. So something that we understand is a memory that we've already lived through. So if you can remember something like even the bed that you're sleeping in as a child, when you were a child, can you remember a bed you slept in at whatever age you were, but as young as possible? And we pay a visit to the sleeping child. And on a very subtle level, we were speaking before about the influence of subtle messages that come through the ether. They come through the right side of the brain, very much so when we're sleeping. When we're awake, the left brain likes to take control and talk about the right brain as if it's a mute sleeping partner. But the right brain is actually the one that connects to the genius. I have to remember that. So we go back to the moment of the sleeping child and we give positive memes. We give positive ideas. We give, I love you. You're safe. You're connected. You're loved. And it goes in on a very deep level. And coming back from that journeying to the child, people feel something. And when you feel something, rather than be told something, when you feel, that connects you through your genius. And on some level, your body celebrates that. And it comes as a sense of joy. Oh, I felt love, maybe for the first time ever. I felt love from myself to myself. I love myself. Oh my God. And tears can follow because it's a release of stuck emotion, of love that's been there. And they say grief is the ability to love, but with nowhere to give that love. The loss, that's what grief is. The wanting to give love, the natural wanting to give love, but nowhere to give it, is grief. I loved that when I heard it just recently. It's such a lovely way of explaining what grief is. So when someone dies, you have so much love that you want to give them, but nowhere to put it anymore, which causes a sense of loss. So when we awaken the self-love through the timeline, that's amazing, because what you're doing in that moment of traveling back, and it's not hypnotherapy, it's not inner child work, it isn't any of that, literally remote viewing to another time and space. And at the moment that you initiate that, then you teach your future self how to do it. And why is that a good thing? Because now your future self can do it. So guess what? You send back, your future self sends back. So you become the giver and the receiver. So there it is again, what goes around comes around. that wonderful play with words.
What you get out, you put back. Yeah. I just want to clarify, is my highest self or my larger self, I've heard different phrases. I use higher power personally. Is that actually my future self?
Who knows? But you know what? Whatever you label it, it really doesn't matter. It's yourself, and it's the way to get love to yourself. I say future self because it's easier to understand what is higher, what is lower, what is more powerful. It's just a different frequency. It's in a different dimension. So the future self is in a different dimension because time is the dimension that separates everything that's happening now. Because everything's happening now. But the dimension of time that comes in when you're in a human body, and I am creating a human experience, then the dimensions of time separates all the different experiences into individual experiences so that we can start to understand the individual experience. Because let's face it, in the oneness, there's only one thing missing. And what's the one thing that's missing in the oneness? People say, oh, I just want to be in the oneness. No, you don't. Because if you wanted to be in the oneness, you would be there. You want to be here because you want to experience the one thing that's void in the oneness, and that's separation. So that's why this planet is here. So we come here, it's a separation experiencing machine. So this whole thing is about experiencing separation. Everybody's saying, oh, I want to be back in the one. Everyone's got FOMO on this planet. No, stop with the FOMO. Be here, be in the separation and enjoy it. You have come to experience that.
I get what you're saying now. There was a time when I was cursing separation. Why would someone want to experience it? How is that valuable?
It's the one thing that isn't in the oneness, and we want to expand. So the only way we can expand is to experience something that isn't in the oneness. Duality. Duality. We're here to experience duality. We're here to experience the fear and the love, the black and the white, the positive and the negative, the yin and the yang. It's all there. It's here. It's here. We're here. Enjoy being here. Know that you're part of the oneness so you don't get into the drama of dwelling here, but enjoy being here. Be in the oneness. Be happy to be here. Bye for the separation for now. That time will come. The oneness will come back. But be in the separation for now. Not bye to it.
So is it about embracing it and
embrace it? Embrace it, enjoy it, create. Know that you're part of the creative process of this. Create things that you enjoy. Choose. Be aware. Who am I? What am I? Let it change your whole perspective. Let it change the emotions that come up so that those emotions can create the experience that you're choosing.
And look at our set today. I'm in white, you're in black, black and white. So it's obviously meant to come through. Do you think our external reality is always reflecting our inner reality?
Our inner reality is what creates the outside. Everything is a mirror of us. If you want to complain about somebody, take a look in the mirror. Somebody said, you know, when you point at somebody, look at the index finger where that's pointing. That's where you need to be looking, because you're creating this human experience. Yeah. So whatever you can create from within, if you fill yourself with love and calm, that's what's going to overflow out there. And then you're going to start and see love and calm out there. If you create tension, hypertension, chaos inside, then you're going to start to see chaos out there. It flows.
Well, I'm starting to really come to realize just how powerful I am as a creator.
Great.
If we were to deconstruct reality, and again, kind of looking a little bit more into that word, what is it that we're deconstructing?
I suppose the reality is yin-yang, duality. So that's what we're trying to deconstruct. But how can you? Because you can't have a yin without a yang. It's not easy to pull something apart that's intrinsically one. So life, I suppose, is a little experiment into deconstructing oneness. So to bring us here into this experience machine called Earth is our attempt, as I am creating, to deconstruct oneness and separate it, which is the job of the ego. You know, I am separate from you, I am separate from the flow, and make it so convincing that I believe it. And then it drags me in to a place of, this is real. And I forget that I'm just watching a movie, and the movie theatre can be burning down because I'm so involved in the movie. I forget to leave the theatre. That type of deconstructing, I guess. And that is, I suppose, the way that you could say, wake up. Yeah. Wake up to the fact that actually this is part of a creation. And maybe the earth is neither flat nor round or a hologram. Maybe it's just a science experiment in some school drawer somewhere tucked away. The truth is we don't know, because the eyes can't see the head. You have to step away from something or hold up a mirror in order to see it. So the world is a mirror of ourselves. Great question. Yeah, I like the mirror idea.
Me too. And I love that you said life is an experience machine. I also wonder if it's an ascension machine.
I think ascension is FOMO. Be here, experience here. Ascension is going back into the oneness. It's going to happen. You're already ascended. You're already in the oneness. I am. Yeah, but enjoy here. Be in the separation, because that's what you've created. Don't go craving after something, you know. I listened to something the other day, and I can't remember who said it, but it was someone had reached the state of enlightenment and said, you know what, I've had enough of this. I'm going to go out now and start to get attached to as many people as I can. And I thought, okay, yeah, maybe that's the next stage. Why would I sit on my own and be non-attached to something? I'm here to experience. That's what I'm here to do. So let me just do that. And also in the back of my mind, whilst knowing I'm creating this. You know, our reality is just what we perceive. And when you look at that dome and it looks like a triangle from this side, a rectangle from this side, and a circle from this side, know that by changing your perspective, you're changing reality. And it's such a basic, simple thing. You know, I'll show you the diagram. Maybe you can put it up, you know, into the interview. Just have a quick close-up of that. It's such a profound thing to see that, oh yeah, that's truth, but when you look at it from this side, it looks like that. When you look at it from this side, it looks like that. That's what I mean by there's no reality. I'm not saying that this chair isn't here. It's here and I'm sitting on it in this perspective, because that's the confusion, I think, when people hear, oh, it's not real. It's not real, but it feels real. Well, from this perspective, it is real. But there's another way of looking at it that changes everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to run something by you that it's kind of it's a bit of a word salad. But let's see if you can make sense of it for me. So one of the concepts I was toying with was emotional states become personality traits. That's kind of a basic psychological little saying. To move on, I was saying, well, then that can kind of become vibratory rates. And then that moves on to become creational fates. And that moves on to become timeline dates, if you will. And I think there's a sixth step, which is kind of a super coherent gate, if you will, or almost a portal. And in that way, maybe our emotions and our sentience can lead us into this super functioning or super conscious realm.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
So if I was to try and make sense of that, I would say you're trying to go from chaos into order. Simply said. So where there's chaos, we need to bring order in order for us to feel safe. Because we don't feel safe in chaos. We need certainty. We need a percentage of certainty. But at the same time, we need uncertainty. Otherwise, there'd be no surprise parties. So there's got to be a balance. It's all about balance. I want to create a balance for people to have as much different experiences as they can without feeling that they're overwhelmed, because too much chaos will overwhelm you, but then too much certainty will dull you down. So it's about turning order turning chaos into order while still having fun. You know, we're here to have fun, we're here to experience, also to experience pain, because you don't know what fun is unless you've experienced pain. You don't know. If you always experience fun, it wouldn't be fun, because you wouldn't know what fun was. So you need the shadow in order to experience the light. So that's why it's an experience machine. The earth is an experience machine. And whether it's hollow, whether it's round, whether it's flat, whether it's a hologram, it really doesn't matter, because each one has its own different experience, and it can be either an all or none.
Yeah. I love that you said that. That's brilliant. The tagline for the film is "From Chaos to Coherence." And so you really just like wrap that right back up into...
Well, it was a great question. Although it kind of lost me, because, you know, sometimes when people speak in spiritual speak, I find I want to bring it back down to earth, you know. A lot of people are talking at the moment about super senses. Whoa, the super senses. No, they're not super senses. They're subtle senses. They've always been there. They've just been hidden under the main 5 senses because the left brain is dominant. The subtle senses is what the right brain bring to us from the genius, which is what psychic ability is. But it sounds less scary. You know, it's natural, it's normal. We have these subtle senses. These are the senses that we call upon when, let's say there's a tragedy and a baby is caught under a heavy car. Where does the mother get the power from to lift the car in that moment? She calls on the genius, she calls on the connection, she calls on the I am creating this, and saves her baby through that situation that was terrible, that was a necessity for her to bring down that power and anchor it into earth. And we can do that. And it doesn't have to take an event of tragedy for us to do that, although often it does take that.
Do you think the future of humanity hinges on our ability to develop these subtle senses?
We have them anyway, and one day you will develop them when it's your time to develop them. Again, I think we're in too much FOMO. I think they will develop at their natural rate, just as we've developed so far to the beings that we are today. We will continue to develop, because that's what we're here to do. Of course we're going to develop. There's nothing going to stop that. It's like the phrase that Victor Hugo said, "There's nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come." Wow. Yeah. So the time has come for us to expand and realize that we've gone out of the caveman consciousness and we're moving out of the mind-body consciousness into the I am consciousness, where we can enjoy the body-mind consciousness. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have interviewed many scientists, including an astrophysicist affiliated with Harvard Smithsonian Institute. So we're all saying, yes, of course, these psychic senses are real and telepathy is a thing, and here's the quantum science to back it up. And yet it remains a little bit of that sort of airy-fairy thing in mainstream society.
Because it comes through to us, to our senses, through the right side of the brain, that is basically mute, or as mute as a 2 or 3 year old. You know, that the left brain is the one that can speak and make everything seem really complicated and academic, whereas the right brain is the one that feels. The left brain is the one that thinks. The right brain is the one that connects to the genius. And there's a sense of knowing something that's very, very, very profound, that sits on the edge of consciousness. But until your two halves are talking to each other, there's no way to express that, because the language of the right brain has to be interpreted by the left. And if they are arch enemies, then that won't happen. But as soon as we become inclusive and we start saying, no, it's important. You know, I was a fashion designer for 20 years. I use the zeitgeist. I love the zeitgeist. The zeitgeist is the energy of the times, this sense of an idea with power. When its time has come, it's going to spread. This is why things go viral. Its time has come. You know, when something goes viral, it's because the world's ready for it. The world wants it. It's hungry for it. It's part of the experience machine. You know, it's so powerful, and it's going to happen. And we're all going to experience that at some stage. It's inevitable.
Are there powers that have tried to use our emotions against us or manipulated us via negative?
We are the power that uses our emotions against us. We are our own self-sabotage. We are creating this reality. I am that reality. And my patterns sabotage me. You know, my beliefs that have been given to me by a society that we need to stand on. You know, rather than have alongside us, we need to stand on it and become taller. You know, we need to use all of the experiences that we have experienced by being here, just by being here, understanding that duality is separation and the joy of separation, because we already know the joy of togetherness and oneness. We are that. We are that.
Can the arts come in and be a useful tool of expression?
Well, for me, the arts are a way of expressing the right brain language. You know, picture paints 1,000 words. We've heard it. It's again, God plays with words. It's the words that are hidden within our language that have got so many meanings. It's just, that gives me goosebumps just to think about it. There's a sense of, I know that. And even if I'm not conscious of it, even if I can't put it into words, there's a sense of it coming in. And again, it's, you know, it's understanding. It's understanding, who am I? Know thyself. Know thyself. And as soon as you start that, there are two personalities in me. There are two brains in me. There's the right brain that feels and that connects to the genius and brings down ideas on the edge of consciousness. And there's the left brain that manages all of that and tries to make sense of that, tries to bring order from that chaos. The feminine is the chaos. The masculine is the order. And we have both. And once the two begin to speak to each other and have a beautiful union, then everything becomes easier. One of my mantras is a happy, healthy, wealthy, easy life filled with love and passion.
Oh, I love that. One of the phrases that stuck with me from being a part of your group that you run for a while, that I used to be a part of, is effortless prosperity.
Yeah, effortless prosperity.
I love it.
Don't have to work too hard. Get it right inside, and on the outside, it will come. You know, one of my students wanted to do some speaking and write books, and you say what people want to hear. People will come. You won't even have to advertise. You create it in here and it will come on the outside, because there's nothing that has more power than an idea whose time has come. Speak about the zeitgeist. You know, I was in fashion for 20 years. I learned about the zeitgeist. It was one of the things that there was a whole week of lectures that my fashion design lecturer put together for us. He was quite an eccentric man. And he said, I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, about the zeitgeist. I thought, what is that? You know, I'm 21 or 20 and I'm thinking, I've never heard of zeitgeist. I don't speak German. What on earth is that? And he gave the most, he said, it is the spirit of the times. It's what people want today. And if you give people what they want today, they will remember you forever. Oh, okay, that's big.
That's huge.
But it isn't even about what you say to people. It's the way you make them feel, because the feeling goes into the long-term memory of the right brain. I feel it. I can feel it. And if you feel it, and you know if someone's lying to you, you can feel it. You may not want to see it. You may decide, I don't want to see that, and therefore not listen to it. I say this when I'm talking to people about relationships, you know, and a girl will come, oh, this and that. you need to listen and you need to understand that whatever a man tells you in the first 2 weeks of meeting you, listen to him. He's telling you the truth and you need to know that. It's no point you thinking, oh, well, I can change that about him and I can. No, he's telling you who he is. You either accept him or you don't. Be in the feminine energy, be in the receptive energy. If you've come in a female body, you need to take your part within the yin-yang. If you've come in a male body, you need to take your part within the yin-yang. We all have male and female within us, the right brain, the left brain. We have it all. But take your part, play your part, be the feminine, be the masculine, whatever it is that you've come to be. Play that part, be part of that experience. And then go beyond that if need be.
So beautifully put. It's incredible to have this conversation with you. I do want to ask you about the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio and the sacred geometry. How does it pertain to emotions and consciousness?
Well, we love things that are easy on the eye. We love things that feel right. And when you have something like the golden rectangle, it just feels right. There's a sense of, order. So again, chaos. Oh, there's some order. I feel safe. So it's making me feel safe. Oh, there's some order here. Not too much, but enough. It's one of our human needs. We need order. We need chaos. We need certainty. We need to know that the sun is going to rise every day. We need certainty to make us feel safe. But we also need uncertainty. We like surprises. We like things to come in that we hadn't thought of that. We want to grow. That's something different. Yes, I want to, wow, I would never have done that, but I'm so glad that I did. Uncertainty.
One of the ideas that I've been kicking around is I actually am realizing that I need a certain amount of negative emotion, which I see the intrinsic value in. I don't judge it as being bad anymore, but perhaps feeling sad or feeling angry in order to serve almost as like a catalyst for creation.
Emotions is what drives us. Emotion. Motion? There's a clue in there somewhere. So motion is to move. So we need emotion to make us move. We might start by saying, oh, I'm thirsty. The idea is, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty. There is no water. Oh, suddenly there's emotion, the fear of missing out. Fear of missing out, FOMO. What am I going to do if I can't get water? Then an emotion drives us. Okay, then I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find some water. So I have that need, which sets up an emotion, which drives me to go out and find the water. So we need it. We need all of it. It's all part of the experience and it's all to be embraced. It's all to be included within the experience of this experience machine that we're in.
Is there an optimum ratio between chaos and coherence or negative and positive emotions, however you want to see it?
I think the clue is in the yin-yang symbol. It's there. It's right in front of our face, 50-50. It has to be there. The yin-yang is 50-50. I don't think that's an accident. Maybe it is, but I don't think it is. Because you can't see the light unless you can see the dark. It's what you do with that that's important. What you do with that so-called a negative emotion. Sort through it and find out where the toxins are and get rid of those by all means. But don't dump all the negative. And don't overdo nothing to excess. That's the second maxim on the Temple of Apollo.
Oh, June, I've done excess well.
Haven't we all? Haven't we all? But that's part of the experience, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not for us to say, you shouldn't have done that, or you were so bad for doing that. Well, no, I did that. I experienced that. And I realized, actually, I don't want to experience that anymore. And I get that. And I get that I can actually create, so I am creating something that's actually more pleasant than that. And if I can, why don't I? Why don't I just experience joy? Why don't I just party? I've already experienced the darkness. Let me experience the light a little bit. Why not? It was funny, I heard someone say the other day, the difference between Christianity and Buddhism is that Jesus' father was a carpenter and Buddha's father was royalty. Doesn't that have very interesting connotations?
It really does.
Yeah. So, they did it in reverse, didn't they? So there are two paths to enlightenment. Through the negative to the positive, through the positive to the negative. He still had to see the harshness, the pain and suffering of life when he came out of his cocoon of the palace in order to see that, in order to find enlightenment, and vice versa for Christ. Interesting. It's just really interesting. So there isn't one way. There isn't just one way. We're here to experience all the different ways.
And that brings me back to the creational properties of emotion. Am I the grand artist and life is my canvas?
Oh, I would really think that would be lovely to believe. And if we believe it, it's true. But we need to be in that mindset. We have to have, I am the great artist. I have this canvas, this blank canvas in front of me, and I'm painting my reality onto this canvas. Isn't that a fabulous metaphor? If we want to teach in metaphors, and a lot of the enlightened masters teach in metaphor, let's use that one. There's this huge white canvas in front of me, and I literally choose to paint half of it like this and half of it like that, so that I can see each half interacting with each other. Wow. Doesn't get any better than that.
No, it doesn't. I absolutely love that. And I learn so much from you every time I experience you in the essence of your soul.
And I learned also from you. We learn from each other. It's, that's what it's all about, interaction. Connection. Yes. Connection is what we yearn for, what we long for. We want connection. Yes. And connection is all part of the experience, because connection can happen. Connection is there in the oneness, but connection is the coming together of the duality in this reality, which is the joy, because then we get little essences of being in the oneness here in the duality, which is fabulous.
So fabulous. I'm sort of bringing it to a close. I want to see if you have anything to add. Before we do that, clearing came to my mind, because I learned a really awesome clearing technique from you that I do every full moon. Can you talk a bit about clearing energy and how that's important?
Yeah. Again, it's about clearing out the toxins. So I use art, being an artist, spirit inspired. So literally drawing out the negative emotions that would block you, that would sabotage you, that would get in the way of whatever it is that you want to create. Those sense and idea that I have to work hard, or I'm not good enough, or this can't come to me. We literally bring all those ideas to the surface and draw them, scribble them out on a piece of paper and burn them, send them up to the light. It's like a ritual, but sometimes rituals focus the mind, focus the emotion, focus the intention, because it's something that's playing out on the outside. Remember, we need as much inside and outside, the attention and the intention, the whole sense of that. So literally, I have people pull up their emotions. When was the last time you wanted to say something and you couldn't say it, and you didn't say it, and you feel really bad that you didn't say it? Or when was it somebody said something to you and it hurt, it went right, and pull all of that up and literally scribble it out on paper. It's wonderful. It's the most cathartic experience in the healing process of coming to a balanced place.
It really is, and it works. Usually my piece of paper, my mandala, my container of energy is black. By the end, I'm like, anything.
But then you feel lighter afterwards. You just feel so much lighter. It's almost like there was this big boulder of negative emotion within your system that suddenly you drew it out and you've let go of it. And you go, oh, I feel lighter. Because light has many connotations. The Egyptians, I forget which god it was, used to pull out the heart and put it on a scale, and if it weighed heavier than a feather, they couldn't go into the underworld. So if you're light-hearted, there's a message there, right? If you're light-hearted, you can pass into the underworld. If you're heavy-hearted, it feels, you can feel the energy, can't you? Oh, I have a heavy heart, poor soul. No, I'm a light-hearted free spirit. It's very different. You can feel it within the words, within whatever that conjures up within the system.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for adding your wisdom to that clearing exercise. I use it every month. And it's really effective.
It's good on the full moon, and it's good at a time when you're feeling upset and you don't know what to do with the upset. Draw it out. Children love it too. You know, I get the adults to burn it. With the children, I don't give them fire. You know, if they want to tear it up and bury it into the earth, or, you know, give it to a grown-up to get rid of, whatever they want to do. But when they feel upset and they don't know what to do with that, I feel upset. Oh, come on, let's just scribble and get it out. They love it.
I think everything's looking for an expression. My little girls love this exercise. It helps them and it makes them feel like they're doing something about it.
Yeah, they're doing something about it because, you know, we're taught as very young children, we cut the knee, we put antiseptic, we put a plaster on it there, and suddenly it feels better. But we're not taught what to do with the emotions when they get hurt. Oh, this boy said something to me, I feel so hurt. Okay, let's just draw it out. Let's get rid of it. And then, as you know, there's a whole practice that follows about gripping and releasing and clenching and releasing and just to feel a sense of release and to get it out of the vehicle, out of the body. Because, you know, we can put a lot of tension in the body and it goes deeper and deeper and causes dis-ease. It's not only food that causes dis-ease, it's also other things we take in, ideas, emotions, toxic energy.
It's interesting you hit on that, because one phrase that we hit on from the Heart Math Institute is this idea of emotional diet and, you know, emotional nutrition. You could take that a lot of different ways. How do you metabolize some of the bad stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Before it gives you indigestion. Yeah.
Another play on words.
The words, you know, our vocabulary is full of it. If you have the eye to look for it, or the ear to listen to it, it's there right in front of our face. You know, the words, you know, there was something someone said to me the other day, oh, blimey. Wow, really? You want to go blind? Is that what that means? So there are things that we use in our everyday life that almost like little curses, magic. That's why we spell words. They're magic, they're spells. So be mindful again, know thyself, and know the words that you use are very powerful. You know, if you ask someone to do something for you and they go, yeah, no problem. Oh wait, they used the word problem. Is this going to be a problem? And we use that so much in everyday life. Whereas if, yes, I'd love to do that for you. I'm definitely going to do that for you. I really want to do that for you. How much nicer does that feel to receive?
Way nicer.
Way nicer. Words are magic. It's why we spell them. You know, you're a magician creating spells with your words.
And I can create a positive spell or a negative spell.
A positive spell or a toxic spell.
I'm trying to change my language to use that instead of negative. So I'm continuing to learn from you. Semantics have been of interest to me since probably the first year of my recovery, where I took a book around. And every place I went, whether it was with my therapist or a group that was trying to get sober or what that might be, I would redefine my language for myself. And I have this book still. That. And it's my most treasured possession, I think. I started redefining everything. Like, to surrender means to join the winning team, for instance. And at that time, that was a really important concept for me because I thought it meant failure.
Absolutely. So we have these ideas in our mind of what words mean, but when you really look into it and you look into the meaning of the words underneath, yeah. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And you helped me take that concept to the next level. And I think that's really important transmission.
I'm so pleased for you.
Well, thank you, June, for everything that you've bestowed upon me, shall we say.
Oh,
thank you for this interview.
you.
It's such a joy to me as well. And I wonder if you have anything to add.
I think that everything is much more simple than it appears to be. If it's starting to get complicated, let go of it. Go with the simple. If something's heavy, put it down. Simply said. And understand that you can enjoy your life. It's not a sin.
We are here to have fun.
We're here to experience.
We're here to experience.
We're here to create experience.
I've really had fun in this interview. So I really
Me
did
too.
have. So thank you so much.